All right, last but not least on our authentication is our guest access authentication. We talked a little bit about this in security. Now let's look at the actual configuration of it. First off, you're going to want to make sure that this is its own wireless LAN with its own SSID. All that information has to be its own. It's a guest wireless LAN, not traversing the same areas as you. So it has to have its own area. Next up, for security, you're going to want to make sure that their security is set to none. No security. I know I told you not to do that, but that's not the only thing we're doing. Now we're going to go to security at layer 3, and we're going to apply our web authentication. And our layer 3 security is going to be based on our web policy. We're going to set a pass through, meaning this information, this is going to give us directly to the through a CapWAP tunnel directly to the DMZ. We are not going to have this pass through our regular traffic. Uh, Pre-authentication protocols, none. Web authentication, flex ACLs. If you have one implemented or not, that depends on you. So let's go into my environment and take a look. Now, let's go ahead and create a wireless LAN. Okay, let's create a new one. So let's go to the control wireless LANs. We'll create a new one. Let's go. We'll create a guest LAN. Profile name, we'll call it guest lab LAN. Let's give it an ID of 2. Okay, apply this. So now we have our guest LAN, right? We've created it. This is our for web authentication. You can see here security policies automatically web authentication. So modification under the security tab is what's going to take place. So now we have to look at our security tab. Our security tab, layer 2, remember, it was none. And here you can see this this OS is a little more advanced than the screenshot you saw, where it actually said you had to choose none. Here it says it's already done. Layer 2 security is out the window when we're setting up a guest LAN. Now we have our layer 3 security. You can see we're choosing web authentication. We can do web pass-through or web authentication. We're using web authentication in this one. Pre-authentication IPv4 none, IPv6 none. Override global config, we don't want to enable that. If I look at our AAA servers, again, we're not going to see a lot here. I could set something up, but why would I? This is my guest VLAN. These are for my guests in my environment. Now, if I click apply, this is actually in place. So let's go to our monitor real quick, or our controller, excuse me. Let's look at our general information. We should see, excuse me. Let's go back to wireless LANs. Let's look at our general configuration. We have 2 wireless LANs. We have wireless LAN for my employee, which is lab. It's set up for SSID as WPA2. It has authentication. And we have our guest wireless LAN for just general configuration for our guest access. Right, so we've configured them both. Let's go in here. Do I have an I do have an SSID set up. Let's see, guest lab. Maybe I have too many spaces. Apply. Let's make sure that shows up. We really don't need it for this particular lesson, but it does bother me if it doesn't show up. Let's go to our wireless LANs. Still not showing up. Guest 2. All right, well, it just may take a second for that to show up. All right, so we're all set up with our web authentication. Now, anyone who logs on will see that splash page. Right now, it'll be the default splash page for guest connectivity. In the future, you could put in some type of acknowledgement. You could actually upload a splash page that says something like, by using this network, you adhere to the following policies. Work with your lawyer to get that sussed out the way you want. But again, go back to our security section to review the different types of connectivity allowed through this guest LAN. I don't know why they separated the configuration from the actual security. I wish they would have kept it together, but they did in this course. Hopefully, in our live classes, we will be able to kind of grab that and bring that back in where I think it needs to be.